Everybody wants to save money now. Everybody's seeing the inflation. We've started using smart, frugal techniques over 30 years ago. We made a Berkey filter for 20 bucks. The Berkeys, you're still going to need to buy the filter, so that's not what the $20 was. Some people are also concerned about the plastic, but here's what I say. Those of us that have been abroad already, we know how important it is to have clean water. Even if you're in USA, we never know what's going to happen to the water supply system. That's one thing that we learned going abroad, is that you just never know. Even in areas where you usually have clean water, you don't know what's going to happen to that water supply. So this video is to help people quickly and easily and cheaply be able to have clean filtering water. So I was saying, we go to the store and we buy bottled water that has sat in plastic bottles for months and we think nothing of it. Clearly, you will want to get buckets that are food grade and not any plastic buckets that have had harsh cleaning agents or who knows what other kinds of chemicals in them. So this is how we did it then. You can still use that system. We're in Mexico now and we're getting ready to do the same system here in Mexico. And so I'm going to just show you how we did it, because we're going to do the same thing here in Mexico. Here's how we did it. It's a 2-bucket system. They already have the faucets in them. So how do you do this? Well, here it is. That's your Berkey. See this? It unscrews. These Berkeys, they come with these washers, these little gummy washers. Okay, so your job is figure out how these are going to position on the lid. So here's how I did it. I just turned that over and I put these Berkeys like this, right? Because I want to know where they're going to go, because I don't want to accidentally drill a hole and then it's way over here. So first I position them, measure twice, cut once. So we're measuring. Alright, so I'm going to say I want these like this, because I don't want them too close here and I don't want them too close like that. Okay? Alright, so then I take a pen or a marker. If you use a marker, you're going to put ink on your Berkeys, and you don't want that. You're going to have to clean your Berkeys. I'm going to have to clean them after touching them, because it's your drinking water, remember. Anyhow, you trace around, right? Once you trace around, then you lift them. Now you got 2 circles drawn, right? Okay, next step is make sure you center where the hole is going to go. For example, that's going to be like that. Well, here, that circle's about right the same exact size, so let's pretend that's it. You can use a ruler, you can use a measuring tape, and you can measure the diameter from here to here. From one side of the circle to the other, that's the diameter. Go to the center. If that's 3 inches, just go to 1.5. Put a little dot there. Then do it on this side. You know, you measure from 1 inch to 4, that's 3 inches. Go to the center, that's 1.5. Okay, here's another way you can do it. You can do it that way. You can do it this way too. This is the washer right here anyway.
See that.
Okay, so you already draw the circle. That's it. Let's just say that's it. You just put that there. Okay. Now, let's say you're not centered. That's really kind of okay as long as you're really close. You can use this and then you can just pencil right there. Another way to do it is just put that there and just trace around that. So there's 3 different ways of doing it. It doesn't matter really if you're centered, because remember, you know, it doesn't matter whether the filter ends up being, you know, like this or like that. As long as you're not way off center, you know, obviously you're not going to put it over here if that's your circle. Next step's drilling the hole. Okay, so you've got 2 of these circles that you drew right here. Okay, then you took this, okay, and drew a circle in there, or you did it this way, whatever way you want to do it. Next step is lining up the size of your drill bit with the size of this thread. This thread's going to have to go through the hole you drill, but it can't be too loose, because the looser it is, the harder it is to have a watertight hole. So you want it to be just large enough for that to screw in. How I do it, I always
eyeball it. Nowadays I have to go outside to see that. But to me, without my glasses, that looks like the threads are larger than that drill bit. Do you see that? Are you able to see that the threads are larger than the drill bit? I can see that it's larger. So I would have to go the next size up on the drill bit. So that's how I do it. Now maybe somebody else does it differently. They can comment on that. But that's how I do it. I go get the next size up drill bit, and what I need to do is eyeball it to see, to make sure that it's at least as large as the threaded area. You're going to drill those holes. Remember, you already have the circles drawn and the center circle drawn. You've got the right size bit. This isn't it. This is too small. And then you're going to drill the hole. Now, drilling the hole, you're going to want to drill from the top of the lid, not the bottom. You did all the drawing and everything on the bottom, but you could do it on the top. When you drill the hole, there's a big risk because of this thin plastic, so it just depends on what kind of bucket you get. Now, you might be saying, why did you go with the transparent bucket? Because that's all they have in this size. They have the big, huge 5-gallon buckets. You can use that, and if you wanted it to filter a lot quicker, if you had a lot of people, a large family, you might want to put 4 of these filters in here instead of just 2. Now, when they're super thin and you go drill, I cracked 3 buckets before I got it right, just so you know. Not necessarily these, the smaller ones, practice ones. That's what it was. It was practice. And so, bottom line, when you drill, you don't want to push very hard. You want to go slow. I also noticed that the cordless drill didn't work because it didn't drill. The RPMs weren't fast enough, and it was slow and it cracked it. So when I used the regular electric drill, it was faster RPMs and it went through it easier. Zzz, you know, like that.
Well, that's a good tip to know.
Very good tip. And then, you know, after, 3 practice buckets. Okay, so you drill your holes. The next step is simple. Now remember, this is a 2-bucket system, so you're drilling the holes in the bottom bucket lid. Okay, so you've drilled the holes in your lid, where your lid's going to be sitting like that. And don't forget, you need to drill the holes in the bucket now, because this is what it's going to look like. So I mean, you start by getting your holes in the lid part, right? The easiest thing with a transparent bucket is just you already penciled out marked where you're going to drill. Maybe you've already drilled. If you've already drilled, the easiest way to do it is just put the lid on it. You're going to see where the hole is because your hole's drilled through the lid, right? So you can see through it, and you're going to see the bucket. And you just put your pencil right there. That's the easiest way to do it. Then take it off and drill your holes where you just penciled. Okay, so once you've got those holes drilled, you can simply put your Berkeys through the holes. And remember, the gummy washer goes on the inside of the bucket. The only thing on the bottom here is the nuts. So you tighten that fairly tight. Because remember, we don't want water coming through this fitting here. The water has to go through the filter, and you know this protruding part is hollow. So the water is coming through the filter and coming and leaking out of this hollow part, so it's filtering it and coming out of the hollow. Okay, that's how that works. The top bucket's the one with the holes. Here's your Berkey filter. Put your washer that comes with it on. You've drilled the holes. You see the holes, right? Okay, so I put the washer on it. Just put it right through right there. So here's the lid. It's got the holes in it. Okay. Now that one, you see how it fit? Now you might have to screw it in. You know, I kind of screw it in like that. See? Just make sure that the washer goes all the way to the bottom. And now I've already lined these up, the bucket hole with the lid hole, so I can see right through it. And it's got the washer on it. And I'm going to have to screw that one in too, because that's what size of drill bit I had. That was just slightly bigger than the threads, And that is actually perfect if you could get it like that, because then you could screw it in, meaning it's going to be nice and tight.
If it just falls through the hole, it's too loose.
If it falls right through, it's kind of loose. So this is perfect. And I've got the nut. I'm just going to start it just so I don't try to hold everything with one hand. And then I'll lift it up for you.
You can flip it upside down.
And flip it upside down and tighten it, but not so much that you crack anything. There, see? If I pushed any more, I learned this when I was a teenager, when I was putting bolts into my engine block, and then I busted it into the engine block. You don't force it. You just go as far as
Good
it'll
tip.
go. Yeah. It's a common mistake when you're a newbie. That's what you're contending with. And you can do that with 5-gallon buckets that are all a solid color if you want. It's the same system, same principle. The total cost for this was, if I include the practice buckets, it's less than $20 anyway. And you don't have to wait on stuff to be shipped from abroad and go through the hassle of all the customs and the shipping and all that junk like that. So you just buy this stuff here and you got your tools and bada bing bada boom.
What about the
It's
filters?
cheap. Well, the filters are the filters. You got to get your filters down here one way or another, you know, however you do it. Your unfiltered water goes in the first bucket. You fill it up, and slowly but surely you'll see little driplets on each of the filters coming down.
You see it dripping from the top?
And then when you want water, you just, you know, open the faucet. It's that simple.
Getting the housing unit, even if you already have the filters, shipped to a foreign country is, especially nowadays, prohibitive for most people. If you know, you'd have to be spending like over $1,000. When you can make your own for your own housing for just a few bucks plus the filters, you're still at like 1/5 the cost. Like, you know, if the filters are $150 plus $20 for housing, that's $170, as opposed to $300, $400, $500 for the stainless steel housing, then all the shipping and the taxes and everything else, which usually doubles the cost to close to $1,000. All right, so I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for coming to the video and have a wonderful day.